Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are enjoying your lunch. My name is Dan Murphy, and I'm from CNBC. Very pleased to have on stage with me today Mohammed Alshaya, the Executive Chairman of the Alshaya Group. And of course, Mike Novogratz is also here, the founder and CEO of Galaxy Digital. Today, we're going to be talking about the new age of consumerism, and this is a very, very important topic. Technology is no doubt changing the lives of consumers, and staying relevant to future consumers will be key to the success of any industry and for every business. Recent research by EY also says that companies that want to serve these future consumers and build profitable relationships with them will need to reinvent themselves. And a lot of that means reinventing the brand. So we're going to spend some time this afternoon talking about the brand and how to build it. So Mike, I'd like to start with you, please, if I can. What's in a brand, and how do you build a brand?
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me. You know, talking about the consumer when you're sitting on stage with the Michael Jordan of consumer and the region is intimidating. And so I'm honored to be on stage. You had a great panel before with Paris and Deepak who talked about telling stories, right? Brands are stories. I've come to the Milken conference for 3 years, and this year decided I would do an experiment. I wore this hat the entire time, a felt hat in the desert. The last 2 years, I kind of dressed like most of you guys in blue suits. I was jealous of the white thobes, but pretty much everyone wore the same uniform, and I decided, I'm going to wear a hat the whole time. And I'm telling you, 6 to 7 times more people came up to me this year, gave me a hug, shook my hand, gave me a business card, wanted to sit down, is in the last 2 years. I have this expression, I'd rather look stupid than be stupid. And sometimes in investing, in my brand of investing, is rather look stupid than be stupid. It's, I bought Bitcoin when people thought it was a dumb idea, or invested in hallucinogenics for depression early. And so I started thinking about what your personal brand is, and it's a story. And listen, Paris and Deepak told great stories. Bitcoin itself is a story. Bitcoin is a social construct, right? It's a line of code that's now worth $200 billion. But it's one of the best brands that's been built in the last 11 years. I can't think of another brand that's worth $200 billion that has been built in the last 10 years. So Bitcoin's a powerful story, and I'm a storyteller. I bought a lot of Bitcoin, and then I got on stage and I told the story of Bitcoin. And so I really think a brand is a story.
Absolutely, and we're very lucky to also be joined by
Or a
Mohammed
hat.
today. Yeah, what's in a hat? Lunchtime insights today with a titan of industry, because you have, of course, 90 brands, 4,500 stores, and you are the largest Starbucks franchise partner in the world. So what do you look for in a brand, sir?
First of all, we like the brands that have a line outside the store. And we know, that there is something very special about it. So the story I would tell you now about the brand that we are very proud to have brought into the region before it matures. Shake Shack is a brand that I was in New York in Union Square, and I saw that shack. But there was a line with maybe 50 people outside waiting to buy the hamburger. So I asked who's the owner, and I managed to get hold of the owner and convince the owner, while he has only 2 stores, to come and open with us. And it was in Dubai. And now we have 75, doing very well. So the brand has also cycles. Today, the millennials are changing the landscape of the brands. They are not loyal to the brand, they are loyal to the service, to the lifestyle, to the association with that experience that they enjoy. They are influenced not by the advertisement in the newspaper. They are influenced by their association and who they follow. So this has changed. And today, e-commerce for us, which is surprising that it is in the early days, we are doing some brands 25% of the total sales here in e-commerce.
Wow.
Which we thought it would be only 5–10%. So brands evolve. There are always new brands coming. And we have brands that we are also closing. I mean, there are people who cannot sustain the evolution. They face challenges, financial challenges, but they occupy important real estate for us, and we cannot continue try to save them, so we change into other brands.
So to use the Shake Shack brand as an example, you mentioned you look for the line, and that's obviously very important. Was there anything else within the Shake Shack brand that captured your attention that made you say, we need to have this?
Service, quality, honesty, delivering honest product, making sure the Shake Shack, the meat, the quality of the meat is only 10% of the cow. It's not mixed with other things like other brands. So it is really honest about delivering the best quality meat to our customers. Also innovation, architecture, hygiene, cleanliness, and good value for money.
So there was a gap in the market there, and you saw a great opportunity. Mike, to bring it back over to the millennial example, though, obviously with the Gen Z consumer and the millennial consumer, they have very different expectations on brands today. How would you characterize the change that we've seen in those expectations over the past few years?
Sure, I think any brand today needs to think about the environment. They need to think about their workers, right? Millennials and Gen Z want a more just world, and that shows up in polling, and it shows up in what they care about. And so we bought a fast food restaurant called Bojangles. It does fried chicken down in the south of the United States. The best fried chicken, it's freshly made. And when we bought it, I thought, well, how do we, in each of these buckets, how do we make ourselves more environmentally friendly? How do we make ourselves more friendly to the environment, to pay a living wage? How do we push everything to the left? Because that's what millennials are asking for. And when I got in the chicken business, I said, well, let me understand this fast food business. And there's this company called Chick-fil-A. And if you're in the United States, you know, because they've got the longest lines. And the numbers they do per store are staggering. Right? McDonald's, which has been was the family brand of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? McDonald's does about $2.7 million per store on average. Bojangles we're $2.1 million per store, which is way high versus most fast food restaurants who are in the $1 million and a quarter range. Chick-fil-A does $5.5 to $6 million a store. Why? They tapped into the millennial mom. They sell wholesomeness, right? It's a religious family. They sell service. When you go into a Chick-fil-A bathroom, they've got a changing table. They've got a step so your kid can step up to the sink. So the mom thinks, this is a safe place for me to bring my kids. Their food is no healthier than anyone else, but there's a perception of healthy food because it's clean. And they've got great service. And so I see that's a model. You've got to tap into this sense of wholesomeness and doing good, right? Millennials want experience over things, and so it's an experience that they want.
You're tapping into the next wave of the consumer. What do they want from a brand? Looking beyond millennials, what's next? Mo?
To go to the avenues in Kuwait. It's really why I say this, because now we see the malls in America following what we have done almost 13 years ago.
Because in the malls, you're creating the experience, right?
We created the experience. We created lifestyle. We created destination. In Kuwait, we have a population of 4 million people, and we have the avenues visited by 42 million people. We have just opened a month ago Hilton Garden Inn, which is 380.
I'll just pause you there for 1 second. Explain that math.
the math that we have more frequency than anywhere else.
So people are
and we
coming
have
back.
people coming from neighboring countries, from Abu Dhabi, from Oman, from Qatar, and from Bahrain, and from Saudi Arabia, neighboring, and also people coming to really see what have we done different. So when we opened that hotel, we had a budget. We doubled that budget in performance because we have Kuwaitis coming and staying with us during the weekend in Kuwait, in the mall, because they want to avoid traffic. There is movies. The kids have many options of entertainment, food. We have 200 restaurants and cafes. And by the end of the year, we'll open more. So all you see in Dubai Mall or in here Al Maria and Dias, when you combine gyms and entertainment and hotels and hospitality, it become a destination. It become a destination, and people want to go there and stay a couple of days with everything around you.
What do you think, Mike?
And that's convenience, and that's comfort.
So the other things I think I'd add is that today's consumer wants things instantly, right? This phone is really powerful. So if my wife wants to shop, she can call Net-a-Porter or the runway company, and the clothes are there that day, and if they don't like them, they send them right back. You want to order food, it's right on this phone. And so it's an impulsive and an instant consumer. And so developing the infrastructure to be able to deliver to your customer right away is important. If you want to date, you can go on one of thousands of dating apps and instantly you've got a date. And so that's really shifted the way businesses have to think about how they build their supply chain and how they can deliver their service. You know, the state of development in the GCC versus New York is different. And so the big mall here with the hotel connected to it is a destination, where it isn't in New York. But people still want the same thing. They want destinations. They want experiences. And so you've got to also understand where you are and what the community is looking for and what the alternatives are.
Absolutely.
I think another interesting angle here is something that you spoke about before, Mohammed, which is how brands often move through a cycle, if you will, a boom and bust period in popularity, and perhaps that even translates through to sales. What would be the number one reason, in your opinion, why brands fail?
They fail when they don't attract talent, which in turn, they don't do the innovation. They become complacent. They become, they think they are on top of the world. I don't want to name some brands, but we have seen brands that were the best in their class in the 90s. They
Kodak.
disappeared. They are disappearing.
Nokia.
They are disappearing. Look, take Gap, for example. Gap was bigger than H&M and Zara. Where is Gap now? Where is Marks & Spencer? Marks & Spencer, when it did £1 billion, I think in late 80s, it celebrated in the UK. Where is Marks & Spencer now? So I think innovation, talent, excitement, you host people that are excited. You don't just invest for repeating what you do now. No, you need people to help you and to listen to their opinions. In our model, as a business model, we want to partner with the latest trend. We want to partner and enable and invest in the future, not what only now working. So we are very mindful about that. And as we know, as we understand that digital and transformation and technology is disrupting retail, we have embarked now into health. We have partnered with the #1 American brand for gyms, Equinox, SoulCycle, and Blink. We're going to blow this into the region in a big way. So we want to be the partners of choice for anyone has a good idea.
And that means ensuring that you have a strong brand at home as well.
Absolutely.
Just on that, before I come over to you, Mike, I wanted to ask you, Mohammed, the other thing that you were talking about is how you have all of these visitors coming into Kuwait, but at the same time, we have the largest economy in the region also preparing to get set to host the G20. This is Saudi Arabia. And in Saudi Arabia, we've seen this incredible liberalization of the market and opening up of the country. We're seeing this country being transformed within the markets. We're seeing it being transformed at a societal level as well. That means females are far more engaged. Women are far more empowered now. What does the next wave of female consumption look like in Saudi Arabia? And is that a trend that you can lean into? Is this something that you're looking at?
We are so excited about Saudi Arabia. 2019 was the best year ever for us. We have reached the highest employment of Saudi women. Today we have, I think, about 4,000 Saudi women or 3,000 Saudi guys. But I'm happy to tell our women colleagues here that the performance of the Saudi girls are better than the Saudi men. Okay. Even as a barista in Starbucks. There was a competition in London for Europe, Middle East, and Africa for the Masters of Coffee for about, I think, 50. Number 4 was a Saudi girl, Najiba. We're very proud of her. So, thank you. And we're investing heavy. We have 3 academies in Jeddah, in Riyadh, and in Dammam, training Saudi girls how to master service and to be happy to be on the front, servicing the people of Saudi Arabia and the visitors of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is transforming in a big way. The frequency actually increased the traffic, the airline traffic, what I know about, between Kuwait and Riyadh and Jeddah and Dammam, higher than any year because the events that are happening. So Saudi, I think even traffic coming into Dubai is less now than before because what's going on in Saudi Arabia and what are the calendar is busy in the eastern province and mainly in Riyadh, in Ula, in the Red Sea, in Jeddah. So this is part of the vision of 2030, which is a good thing to diversify, of course, from oil.
Mike, from a US perspective, obviously you spend a lot of time in New York City. How do you think brand Saudi Arabia is being reflected to the world?
I'm sorry?
How do you think brand Saudi Arabia is being reflected to the world? It's important at the moment because the country is embarking on this major tourism push.
You know, Saudi started from a low place and and it's building its brand fast. The story of Saudi Arabia, its transformation, isn't well known enough yet in the West. And so there's a gap between what people think of Saudi Arabia and what Saudi Arabia actually is. But the gap is changing, and I think over time, Saudi's starting a tourism industry. When people can start touring Saudi Arabia and seeing it, and seeing what's happening, and seeing women driving, and seeing women in restaurants, that starts changing the perception. I was there for 2 days, and I've gone a few times in the last few years, and every time I go, I'm more impressed and I see faster change. I drove out to the edge of the world, which is a pretty cool place. It's a 2-hour drive outside of the capital, and I woke up at 5 in the morning and took a car and drove out. And there's this spectacular tourist destination waiting to be a tourist destination. Right now, there's one little tent and a couple camels. I'm positive in 10 years, there'll be cool eco-hotels, and you'll start seeing an industry develop. And as that happens, the brand changes, right? The Saudi story, the story of moving to a more open society, a more liberal society, where women have more rights, is a really powerful story. And so, you know, they've got to keep telling it. One bright spot, I would tell you, is that I tweeted to my much smaller Twitter following than Paris Hilton. I tweeted that Saudi seems to be moving in the right direction, and you know, it was a positive tone to the tweet. And I was prepared to just get eviscerated by the Twitter community. And it was only about 20 to 25% negative, and the rest were neutral to positive, which, listen, still 20 to 25% negative. That surprised me. And so the story is getting out there. People are starting to, you know, buy in to better PR. But I think it's really important for the kingdom to constantly tell the story and to have people show up there. And it has to be authentic, right? Stories don't work if they're not authentic. And so I wouldn't have tweeted that if I didn't actually see the change, or at least perceive the change. And so great brands have to have purpose, and they have to be authentic. I mean, I think Deepak was talking about that. It's so true. But I think it's heading in the right direction.
And we, just to tell you, we have plans to invest about $5 billion in the next 6 years in Saudi Arabia with our partners there in 2 mega projects in real estate. So our confidence is huge for Saudi Arabia going forward.
And what are those projects? Can you elaborate on them?
For our skeptics of malls, they are going to be malls.
Okay.
In Riyadh, it will be the largest mall with 4 million square feet of leasable area, with 4 hotels of Hilton.
So creating opportunities in Saudi.
I even told Mohammed backstage that I think Riyadh might actually be more fun than Kuwait City right now. And so that's a big shift.
you see, Saudi has, I think, 70% of the population are Saudis. 30% are guests coming to work. And we will see more of people traveling as tourists. So Riyadh, as Mike said, Riyadh is, I think, 7 million people live there. So it's becoming more vibrant, becoming more fun, and looking forward to more things happening there.
And very important as we head towards the G20 this year, which will be very big for the region. I'm wondering, Mohammed, if you could maybe just impart some advice on our guest today. When you look at the trends that you see with the consumer, and be they good or bad, what are you doing to prepare your business for the next decade? And what do you think the biggest challenge
the biggest challenge is keeping them coming to you to buy. I mean, physically. As we have to transform to digital. So we have big projects in digital, delivery. Starbucks is going this year and next year starting to deliver their products to consumers where they are, in the stadium, at home, and the office, and also pay. We want to make it easier for our customers to be loyal to us. We want to invest in loyalty. So we are going to look into something very special, reward system, where people, yes, they buy latte in Starbucks and a burger in Shake Shack and cosmetics from MAC. We want to thank them for doing that. So we want to design a reward for them to keep them loyal to us, because it's very hard for our customers to be loyal. And you think you are confident that they are loyal with you all the time. People are curious all the time. People don't go to the same hotel all the time unless they have always getting better offer, better service all the time. Because the competition is wide open. So you have to be ahead of the market by, getting the best talent you can get.
Mike, loyalty is obviously very important as well. How do you build loyalty among a very fickle consumer?
Well, I think one thing we haven't touched on that we should is that the whole advertising model is completely in transition, or already has transitioned. And so we go back to talking about stories, or you think of Kylie Jenner, right? One of the many Jenner girls out there who created a makeup company, and she's the youngest billionaire. Celebrity never had more power than it does today. What is celebrity? Celebrity is someone who told a really good story that everyone wants to listen to and gets fascinated with. I mean, you had Deepak in Paris, right? Those are celebrities, and their stories, and they have followings. Well, in the past, that was great, and nothing went with it, right? Other than they got photographed, and if you're a female celebrity, you hope to marry a rich guy. Now the female celebrities are the rich guys because they have this power of the social media to advertise. And so building that brand and learning how to use the viral marketing of social media and that celebrity is really a shift in how to think about connecting to people. Popeyes, one of our competitor, had this amazing marketing campaign with their new chicken. They didn't spend any money on traditional media. It was all a viral campaign that they orchestrated. Long lines, and they had an explosion. There was actually somebody shot waiting for one of these chicken sandwiches, which was horrible, but was great publicity for them. They created this hysteria almost. And so learning how to use social to help build your story, to help build your brand. If your brand is Bitcoin or Paris Hilton or a chicken sandwich company, is an essential tool going forward. I mean, I think about Kanye West. I met Kanye West, which was really kind of cool because Kanye's this great rapper. And a couple years ago, he had spent all his money because he's a very impulsive spender and a very generous man. And now he's making hundreds of millions of dollars per year because he put his name on the Adidas sneakers, and they're called Yeezys. And like that never existed. You used to get paid a little bit of money to wear someone's sneaker, and now he's making $200 million a year because he's designed the sneaker. And he has the power of that Kanye West brand. And so I think when I'm looking at a new restaurant concept, I'm doing it with someone who's got a giant social media following already.
Mike, before we let you go as well, what do you think is in store for 2020? You mentioned Bitcoin as a brand. You've spoken about this at the Milken conference prior, but I wanted to get your take on it myself. How do you see this brand evolving over the course of the year, and any upside from this point on?
Listen, so I tell this story all the time. There are very few things that are just stores of value, and the most famous one is gold. Right? Gold is worth $10 trillion. But if I took all the gold that's ever been mined out of the ground, that women wear on their necklace, that sit in safes, that are in jewelry and pots and pans, and I melted them down, about the back quarter of the room, we could fill it up and make a nice box, and that would be it. And it would be worth $10 trillion. It would be the most expensive sculpture on the planet. That doesn't make any sense. It's hard to fathom. That little bit of gold is all that's ever been mined, and it's worth $10 trillion. Gold is valuable because it's a social construct. Bitcoin is now worth $200 billion, and every year more and more people are trusting it as a store of value. A couple years ago, there was a question, is it real or not real? What does it mean? Is it fantasy money? And now it's being seen as a hard asset. And so I can name 20 billionaires that made their money outside of crypto. Guys like Pete Brigger from Fortress, who are a great distressed debt investor, or Abby Johnson, who runs Fidelity, one of the oldest financial companies in America, with 30 million customers, or Bill Miller, or Jack Dorsey, who all love Bitcoin and are advocates of it. So you have 20 respectable storytellers who are telling people the story that this is a store of value and a safe place. And so the industry, firms like mine and others, are building plumbing to allow people to buy it. Right? The big wealth in America and in the West isn't owned by the millennials or Gen Z, though they'd like it. It's owned by the 50 to 80-year-olds who don't have crypto wallets, who aren't that agile on their phones. And so the plumbing that's being built is making it simpler and safer for them to feel like they can buy Bitcoin. And as that plumbing gets put in, what do I mean by plumbing? Right now, as of last December, so only 3 months ago, Fidelity and the New York Stock Exchange will custody people's Bitcoin. So if you're worried about people stealing my Bitcoin, now you can leave it at two of the safest places in America. when I talk to the people that work there, they've got a long line of customers that are waiting to sign up. And so I see a scarce asset. I see new plumbing coming in. And so to me, you know, it's trading right around 10,000 right now. It started the year down at 7,000, so it's already up 40%. It's the best performing asset this year. Last year it was up 100%. It was the best performing asset. And so I'll be shocked if Bitcoin isn't significantly higher next year and the following year. It's a long way to go between 200 billion and 10 trillion. And Bitcoin is going to become this generation's digital version of gold. That's the story.
Just quickly, anyone in the room today using Bitcoin as a store of value or means of exchange? Raise your hand.
So we've only got about 5%, so we got a long way to go.
Mohammed, I'll get you to react to that really quickly just while we're on this
It would have worried me if they all raised their hand.
No, but I think this is interesting. So do you think one day we might be seeing within your group of brands the use of Bitcoin as a form of payment or any other cryptocurrency?
Any payment method we are open for.
Yeah. A very good answer.
I want to also shed light into something that is very special about Abu Dhabi, is health. Thank you, Abu Dhabi, for having such a great health system. I sit on the board of the international board of Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi, so I'm promoting it right now. I want to say that it is an achievement to have such a project here, which is not only for the people of Abu Dhabi, but for the people of Africa, the Middle East, India, subcontinent, even Europe. They have the best talent. And this is, by the way, from my experience in business, UAE in general, it has really achieved the attraction of top talent from around the world. We heard Sheikh Nahyan saying about 200 people. So we have stories. We have stories of UAE. We have the upcoming and the transformation in Saudi Arabia. We have Egypt now beginning to move on. Kuwait, I don't know. I'm sorry. It needs help. My country needs help.
A free kick to Bitcoin, free kick to the healthcare sector. So I think we'll wrap it up from there. Very much appreciate the conversation, guys. Thanks for joining us. And enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.